Final Fantasy, the beginning of the series, was released in December of 1987 by Square. So before they even, joined on with Enix. And it's the first game in the series. And yeah, it's now regarded as one of the most influential and successful role-playing games on the NES, and for playing a major role in the genre of JRPGs alongside of the original Dragon Quest. Now, originally the game was going to be called Fighting Fantasy, but due to trademark issues and copyright issues, they changed it to Final Fantasy, which I personally think sounds better. And yeah, it's an old style JRPG. There's it's got random encounters, a lot of them, a lot of them. It's roughly around 20 hours long. If you want to do absolutely everything in it, like level up all the characters, get all the items and all that, find everything and do the lot, you're probably looking towards more 30 hours. I personally think it would be more towards 30 hours to your first playthrough, just for the pure fact that the game doesn't really tell you where to go. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I did have to kind of Google where to go. Now, of course, this footage is not from the original NES version. This is from the Steam version of the Pixel remaster, which is really, really cool. It speeds up the battling for you, so for grinding, you're going to want to, turn that on, so you can just knock out the battles really, really quick. And I do have to say, although this is more of just like a just like a little review, I'll give you some advice. You are gonna want to grind. You're gonna want to grind up, because one of the first things you have to do in Final Fantasy is beat a boss. And then once you've beat the boss, a bridge gets repaired, and you go off and you have to, you have to save the 4 crystals, and that's your mission. But in order to do that, you have to go here. You have to go find a witch's eye, but in order to get the eye, you've got to save a prince, and it just kind of, it's one thing after another with really cool little side adventures that you got to go and do. But when you start getting into the dungeons where the enemies give you status effects like poisoning or petrification and all that, that can be a pain in the ass. So you're going to want to grind to get loads of money to buy the best weapons and armor for your troop of people, and to get just as much potions, antidotes, all that kind of stuff that you can. Now, I like grinding in RPGs. I kind of find it very therapeutic, and I just crack on with it. Some people don't like it, and I completely understand. But here with Final Fantasy, it's just good old-fashioned that. It's just grind and go, and then piece it together. I pieced some of it together, but I did get to a point where I was like, where the hell do I go now? And I suppose back in the day, and back in the late 80s when it came out, you'd have to just mooch around and hopefully find it, or if a friend found it for you, or if you managed to buy to get a guide, or if there was a guide in Nintendo Power, or whatever was out at the time. I was born in '88, the year after this game came out, so I was there at that time. But effectively, it's turn-based combat. There's overworld maps. There's little towns and dungeons that you can mooch around in, and there are chests hidden about here, there, and everywhere, and you can talk to all the NPCs you want, if you want to. Some of them is kind of crucial because it kind of then instigates where you have to go. But yeah, the enemies are varied, which is really, really cool, and especially with this Pixel remaster, a lot of them, the art designs do look really, really good. And you can actually choose what classes you want all 4 of your characters to be when you start the game, and you can name them all, of course. And as you can see by my gameplay, the first main character I've called myself, and then I've got a Cid in there because you've got to have a Cid in Final Fantasy, and then I went with Vincent because the red mage kind of looks like Vincent, and the black mage looks like Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, so of course. But do I recommend Final Fantasy for that's available on Steam? I think it's available on iOS and Android as well, and yes, absolutely, I think it's still a lot of fun. I picked it up on sale when it was like £6, so it's definitely worth that. I'd definitely get you. But then if you bought it full price at like the £10 odd, it's for a tenner, you're getting a lot of, you're getting at least 20-30 hours of gameplay out of it, for a first run. So I mean, it's definitely worth it, and it's still an enjoyable JRPG to this date now. So I'm going to give Final Fantasy an A. But thank you very much for watching the review. I will be reviewing all the Final Fantasies going forward I mean, apart from 14, I've already reviewed that one, and I won't be reviewing Final Fantasy 11 because, well, the servers aren't up no more and I can't really play it. But Final Fantasies 1 up through 12 minus 11, obviously, and then 15, and then hopefully if I can get my hold of a PS5, I'll hopefully play Final Fantasy 16. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.